Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to have a chat about the Phuket Sandbox while we have a walk down Second Road from Terminal 21 down to Pattaya Klang, that direction. Don't know how far we'll get, but that's the way we're going to go. Because most people go the other way. Because it's a one-way street, it just seems natural to go upwards. We're going downwards. Okay? And I'll just interrupt the conversation as we go with various things I'll point out, like this, for example. Somebody's doing well. Yeah, so how many of you remember this place, Drinking Street, on the left side there, which basically died a death before COVID. It sort of went the direction of having Middle Eastern music and Middle Eastern guys and overweight girls. That's the way it went. Over there on the right, you see that white building? That's the Tiffany's, the Trans LB show. Same as Alcazar, basically the same. And they have beauty competitions and all that sort of thing over there. So, right, so we'll start with the original conversation, which is about Phuket. So, as most of you will know, on the 1st of July, Thailand started to try to reopen again to tourists by initiating the opening of Phuket in the form of the Sandbox. And just for those who may not know, very briefly, what is the Sandbox? Okay, it's a quarantine gym, but not as you know it. Basically, you have the entire run of the whole island instead of being stuck in one ASQ hotel as you would be in Bangkok, and you spend 2 weeks at the moment, that's the way it is, and you have the whole run of the island, which is actually quite a good idea, instead of doing 2 weeks quarantine in a hotel. Basically this can be achieved quite easily because Phuket is an island and there's only one bridge to the mainland and one airport. The original idea was that travellers could spend the first week on the island of Phuket itself and could go anywhere on the island. Then, after the first week was over and they had negative tests and everything, they could then travel to several other smaller islands, such as Koh Phi Phi, for example, during the second week of the quarantine on the island. And unfortunately, because of the rise in infections, that has now had to be cancelled for August. We're not doing that anymore. So what's happening now after the first month of the Sandbox? Well, the total arrivals since the 1st of July is well over 12,000 people, pushing, I think it's around 13,000 now, which sounds okay, doesn't it? Until you go into it in a little more depth, because the original idea of the Sandbox was to promote tourism. However, it seems that the majority of these arrivals are not actually tourists. Oh, let me show you this. This is Soho town, which is the first Chinatown in Pattaya. Soho is an area in London, England, which is a Chinese sort of area. It's also a bit of a red light area as well, actually. But this is the Chinatown, the first Chinatown that Pattaya ever had. I think it's still the only one, actually. Okay, let's get back to what we're talking about. By far, the majority of these Phuket arrivals appear to be people who live in Thailand, expats and their wives, and foreigners with businesses and family all over Thailand in all the different provinces. And they're using the Phuket Sandbox as a gateway, a doorway to get back into Thailand. It doesn't seem to be a great deal of genuine tourism, which shouldn't surprise anyone because the authorities have made you jump through so many hoops that it's no longer fun to come to Thailand. It's an ordeal. I personally know 2 people who have come through the Phuket Sandbox, and one of them has a shop here in Pattaya, and the other one is an employee of a multinational company in Bangkok. Not exactly tourists. So besides a mountain of paperwork, you also have to be fully vaccinated at least 2 weeks before you come and have a negative test within 72 hours of arriving. So what do you find when you've jumped through all these hoops? Is it worth coming to Phuket as a tourist right now? Let me just interrupt again. This is the Marina Mall, or Central Marina to give it its full name, and it's a very good shopping mall, and it has a big C in it at the back, which is quite a decent big C, and it has cinemas and what have you. It's quite a good place. Obviously it's closed now, except that I think the big C will still be open, the food part of it at any rate. So on the other side there, yes, that's Sabai di Soapy Massage. Mainly for newbies, I think, that place. Okay, then we've got Siam Hotel on the right, which is a fantastic hotel. Really nice. Anyway, let's get back to what we're saying. So is it worth coming to Phuket as a tourist right now? What's open? Well, all the markets are open, but you have to practice social distancing. The beaches are all open. And they're empty and beautiful and clean, so there's no problem with social distancing there. The restaurants are all open, well, a lot of them are, but you have to finish your meal by 9 p.m. Because then they have to close. As far as entertainment venues are concerned, all the bars are closed. All go-go bars are closed. And in any case, most of the girls went home a long time ago. All the sports grounds, they're closed. And they recently closed the 2 central shopping malls as well for cleaning. Yeah, or across the road there, who remembers those bars? You know, those ones, the Atlantic Bar and all those ones, the top of Soy 2 bars. Yeah, they used to be really good. Of course, that's all finished now, isn't it, for the moment? Going back to Phuket, when they originally set up the idea of the sandbox, COVID infections in Thailand were actually quite low. And they set a limit figure of 90 infections, new infections, in the whole of Phuket for a week as the threshold. And if it went above that, they said they would close the sandbox down. Now then, with the new infections, with the Delta variant, that has been well past. It's gone well past 90. And they've had to move the goalposts. They had no choice. On the left side here, just coming up, is Alcazar, the Trans LB show, the other one. Now, if you look to the left, there's a big car park, and there's some restaurants on the left side there, just down the left side. They were really nice restaurants, and that car park was crammed every single night with big tour buses. I mean, huge things with hundreds and hundreds of people, and each show lasted an hour, and there was 1,000 baht for each person to get in, and they had 3 shows a night. They must have been raking in absolutely millions of baht. Really must. Of course, that's closed. Been closed for a long time now, over a year. But anyway, what can you do? Going back to Phuket, the authorities said they would keep the sandbox open until the hospital bed occupancy reaches 80%. then they would have no choice but to close it. Another thing that they will try to do to keep the sandbox open would be to close off certain very popular areas of Phuket and restrict visitors' movements, but that has not happened yet. And it's just been very recently announced that from the 3rd of August to the 16th of August, the whole of Phuket Island will be locked down to domestic travel, to everyone who would come by car, by boat, by domestic flight. And the only people they're allowing in now, or from the 3rd, will be actual sandbox foreign tourists coming on the sandbox and coming through and doing all the checks for the sandbox. That's the only ones who are going to be allowed. Because Thais have been arriving looking for work, which you can understand, and they have been now blamed for bringing the Delta variant down to Phuket and spreading it amongst the local population there. So they're now stopping them coming. What can you do? Last month there were a lot of quite promising bookings of both flights and Phuket hotels for the month of August. But since the rise of the Delta variant recently, 60% of those bookings have now been cancelled. Just crossing the road to show you this jumbo jet, this 747. Some of you probably may have not have seen this before, but the whole area here around the 747 is going to be a market, a food court market if you like, and they'll have lots and lots of food vendors all around it, and then you eat in the actual airplane itself as a sort of restaurant. Now, see what I came across here on the right side, as a total contrast to what we saw at the very, very beginning of this video. Look across the road, and there's some very good people there helping these poor people who don't have any food. That's happening all over Pattaya at the moment. If you look behind there, there's a group of children sitting down eating. Across the road there, that's Soi 6. I think quite a few of you will know that street. Of course, that's completely closed, including the live streams, I believe. So, it's the way it is now. Looking across the road to the right there, brand new building, not been finished yet. Looks very, very nice. Going back to what we're talking about, I mean, the planning of the Phuket Sandbox was done when the COVID infections were very low. It appears now that the timing was very, very unfortunate. But the authorities really don't want to cancel it. And one of the main reasons would be a huge, massive loss of face, which affects all Thai people, including the government. So they really don't want to cancel it. They want to persevere. I understand that. On the positive side, because of the lack of tourism over the last 18 months, all of Thailand's beaches, not just Phuket, but everywhere, are looking pristine and clean and empty as well. And you don't have to fight your way through hordes of tourists to get anywhere like you remember you used to. I mean, I don't know how many of you remember fighting your way through Walking Street around the groups of flag followers. That was not nice. Of course, that's all over and done with now, isn't it? So, but the Phuket Sandbox is still open, but by the skin of its teeth, really. It won't take many more infections to push it over the edge, and that would be a disaster for the Thai tourism industry if they had to close it down. Let's hope that doesn't happen. We really don't want that to happen. If you look across the road, that's the Hard Rock Hotel there. And just down at the bottom is Pattaya Klang. So I'll just whiz down to the bottom of Pattaya Klang to show you that, and then I'll have to get a BART bus back up because the motorbike's right back up to the top. It's about a 20-25 minute walk. So let's just jump down to. I'll show you Pattaya Klang. So this is just in front of the Pattaya Klang traffic lights. I don't know how many of you know this shop on the left side here, but if you're ever after some alcohol which you might have a problem finding in normal places like Big C, have a look in here. This is an amazing shop. It has all sorts of knickknacks and all different types of alcohol, all different types. I also has a massive variety of nuts. Not salted ones, I don't like those, but it has honey almonds, which are great. So this is Pattaya Klang. That's going up to looking up toward Sukhumvit Road. The other way was down toward the beach, and down there, if you look across the road, you'll see there's a BART bus just behind the motorbike. That's the one I'm going to jump on. So I'm going to just cross the road and wave it down and jump on the BART bus. There we go. We're going to go back up, all the way back up Second Road, right up to Terminal 21, which is where I parked the bike. So you can just have a look and see everything very quickly as we whiz past. And by the way, I forgot to ask you this time, would you please subscribe and like and share the video? It helps a lot. And ring the notification bell so you get notified when the next video comes. And thank you very much for watching. So we'll just have a ride back up. So that was basically, that's the score with the way things are in Phuket at the moment. So you can just have to hope and pray that it doesn't get any worse as far as infection is concerned, because they really don't want to close it. They really don't want to close it. I bet a few of you have taken this BART bus ride a few times, haven't you? I used to stay up at Sabai Lodge a lot at one time. I used to do this all the time. And don't forget, it's only ever 10 baht. You never ask how much it is. Right, so the bike's across the road. I shall just wander over. And thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.